now that we've got some of these landing spots in. I'm still taking Caleb Williams, number 1. That's locked in for me there. At number 2, from a fantasy perspective, it's probably the move to go Jane Daniels. I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. here for now, but I will take Jane Daniels at 3. Give me Malik Neighbors at 4. And I mean, there's just so many quarterbacks. It's going to be crazy. But I will jump back into the quarterback room here. This is super flex. Drake may not have the most ideal landing spot, but he does have the prototypical size for a quarterback. Had the best age, I think, between him and McCarthy. But after that, you do still need to consider some of these other quarterbacks. You know, J.J. McCarthy with the Minnesota Vikings. Let's just go full screen here. And let's see. So Penix, you know, you're going to have to wait on Penix. McCarthy is going to get an early shot. I think he'll be starting day 1. So I'm happy to get McCarthy there. And then you've got, let's see, Roma Dunze went pick 9. It's really hard to ignore that. So it's between him and Michael Penix Jr. I just think if you're desperate at quarterback, you go Michael Penix Jr. here. And it comes down to if you believe in Bo Nix or Rome. I'm going to go to Roma Dunze. This one's going to be very tough because actually, F it. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy here. Give me the guy in the first round to the Chiefs. You know, fall for the trap, whatever you want to say. Take Roma Dunze, who you have to wait probably till next season to get great production out of him. But that's fine. And it's going to come down to, do you need a quarterback? I'll take Bo Nix just based on it being super flex. Then I'll go Brock Bowers here. It's just hard to ignore him as a really good tight end. Not so sure about the quarterback play, but he's going to get time to develop. It's just not something where I'm expecting year 1 Brock Bowers to go off. So he's not a bad pick pretty much anywhere after where he's normally been going in that 1-7 on range. But you could absolutely see Worthy, you know, getting more value if things break right his way. There's still a little risk with just historically receivers that size, but not going to worry too much about that. And we've got some other guys we don't want to forget about here between Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette. I just like the coaching staff with the 49ers, so that's the only reason I'm prioritizing him over Legette. I like the speed of Legette and the size. Only problem is there is other competition. So if I say that with Roma Dunze, that should also apply with Legette, even though the receivers around Legette and Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson may not be as awesome as the Chicago receivers, but the quarterback is just a different situation as well in Carolina. So got to factor that in as well. And right there is, slept on Brian Thomas Jr. Gonna go ahead and fix that. It's my show, so I'll just make my change as I need to. Give me this will work. So Brian Thomas Jr. or Bo Nix. It's really just going to depend if you guys need a quarterback or not. I say you can't take Pearsall over Bowers, so I'll go Bowers here. And yeah, we'll just do it like that. So those are the top guys who have been drafted. We can just keep going through the rest of this mock just to finish it off. But definitely wanted to get those top guys. So we've got 14 drafted players so far. And of course, they're not going to stay in this order. You can see a running back go to a certain team and then you vault them ahead. But really, for me, if I have a wide receiver going in the first round, I'm going to go with the odds historically on that. And, you know, it's a decent bet. Yes, they don't all pan out. But them versus whatever receiver like an Adonai Mitchell or Ladd McConkey or whomever goes in the next round, that's more of a risk than taking these guys. So as far as position to position, I'm taking the first rounders over the guys who go in the second round. Even if they, you know, there's going to be someone who goes to the Bills here in this next round. Let's say the next player that goes pick 33 on the clock is the Bills. You know, in that situation, people are going to potentially want to take him because he's got the quarterback where the other guys don't. And as much as we want that to work out, it could work out. It's just, you know, I'm going to have to just make sure we all know that those first round talents, we cannot just let them fall too far. You know, maybe just the Bills landing spots one where you take the player over them. But other than that, got to be careful. I'll go with Trey Benson. I know a running back is going to go in this range at some point. I just can't see the running backs going in the first round now. Someone has to be, you know, at the 12th spot coming off a championship and need a running back. So from here, we can pretty much just fill it out, go based on my board or just my BPA, just talent that I like here. I know everyone's got their own rankings for this part of the draft. Still, I would make sure to mix in who I think is the top running back in Jonathan Brooks. I really like Franklin. That's why I took him there. And I just think there's going to be more running backs that get pushed up in real drafts. You know, Blake Corum could be that goal line guy. I'm going to take Jalen Wright, one of my other favorites. And we'll keep going through. I do believe one of these teams is going to go Keon Coleman. From everything I was seeing, a lot of people were still very high on Coleman. So I like him there. Roman Wilson out of Michigan. Didn't get a lot of opportunities relative to some other players, but he was definitely good in that championship game and across his career in college. So just don't want to sleep on him. And we'll go ahead and keep going through some of these receivers I like. I can see Marshawn Lloyd being right here if he goes to a good landing spot, or maybe earlier. I'll take Braylon Allen. He's the youngest running back here, so if he gets any sort of good landing spot, he's going to have the age on his side as well. At this point, I have been feeling fairly confident Devontae Walker is going to be drafted today, so I think he's going to have good draft capital based on his speed. He's one of the 4.3 type guys. Malachi Corley's been able to get open at will or just break away from so many people. So I can definitely see him having a role. Right now, I saw just a projection on some draft capital. I think these tight ends are getting massively slept on. Give me Sennett, Sanders, all these guys. At least those two. I know some are pretty high on Stover as well. And we'll go back over to the receiver position. High on Jalen McMillan. Think he can produce just as well as the other Washington guy, or at least Polk. Polk's definitely got some good leadership traits, but McMillan's definitely has similar talent on the field. And okay, standing out a little bit. I'll still stick with Audric here, the late third, just because he had a really high PFF rush grade. And I'm thinking that one of these other receivers, like Jermaine Burton, who I think is the most talented player on the board, even above the last pick I made, it's just off the field concern. So we want to see where that pans out. But he's one of the guys where they could actually just transcend the low draft capital, because we know that the low draft capital is coming from off the field concerns. So if he can get it together, he's probably worth one round higher than he was drafted in real life. And it's definitely worth going on a bit of a running back run. I'll go with Garindo based on the athleticism from the combine, just to take that shot at this point. And I'm going to lock in some of the receivers that I like here. I will go with Javon Baker and Johnny Wilson. And this is really no particular order, because really just wanted to show the drafted players and now just adding on there. I'll go after this pick. I'll take a Will Shipley, but I want to get Malik Washington in here to start the 4th round. Then give me Will Shipley. I really think he's one of the great pass-catching running backs, so I'll double tap on that with Dylan Lobb, who's also a great pass-catching running back. Bucky Irving, same vein, probably could go ahead of Lobb, but it's more just a speed concern. I think Bucky will likely be getting drafted ahead of Lobb when it's all said and done. Give me Brendan Rice. Maybe the only thing that would hurt him is if he does go to the Bears now, who are really just going all in on receivers. Then in that spot, he'd have to wait. So hopefully he gets to the spot where he can contribute early on. And any of these running backs can still get a great landing spot. So a lot of these guys, like even Cody Schrader, guys can play. Not a pass catcher, so not amazing for fantasy, but this late, it's fine. Luke McCaffrey, I think we might be taking him earlier after the draft. Give me a couple tight ends here at the end. I really like how smooth Jaheim Bell was in our last rookie spotlight series of him. I like him more than Theo Johnson, but Theo Johnson does have the athletic testing in his favor. But Bell looks smooth. It was getting open, getting used as a receiver. I like that. I'm only fading Cowling due to the size, really short. So he's actually listed taller here. I think he's 5'9". Give me Isaiah Davis, and I'll take the guy out of Troy Kamini Vidal. I could have taken Frank Gore tight in there as well. But that's it. Yeah, I mean, take a look at that first round, top 12 picks. It's definitely a bit of a shakeup. We've got solidified 6 quarterbacks in this draft. It's not just me. I mean, Bo Nix went 12 overall. I mean, if people are letting him fall to the second round, you got to take him. It doesn't matter. He's a first rounder for Dynasty rookie drafts. A lot of talent in this class. This is a loaded class. I'm looking at pick 12, and I'm excited. I'm looking Pick 12, and I'm excited. Even though Pearsall and Leggett were first rounders to start the second here, uh, I'm happy about that. If I've got the 1-1 and 1-2, because that means you're also getting the first rounder in the second round here. So it's really good if you're a rebuilding team and have a bunch of picks. But absolutely loaded class. Love that draft that we had last night. So I'm excited to see what happens here on day 2. And guys, if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out, we have recently released the Phenom Finder, and the Phenom Finder is really just here to help you be able to see who is, it's a player that we've identified as really being able to help you in some of your leagues. If you're on the clock and you're trying to think, who's going to have a chance to emerge in a role, right, and do something here in the league. The Phenom Finder is going to help you do that. I can't show everything here. I have to block off some of this. Go over to the Patreon if you want to see the Phenom Finder. I've got some guys here I'm willing to show just on the lower end, but obviously Worthy is a little bit higher than some of these guys here. And I'll go ahead and pull up a graphic that we've got for actually how we would be showing you guys. So really appreciate the support that we've been getting from the live when we debuted it last night. This is the 2024 NFL Rookie Phenom Finder presented by Fantasy Good Sports and Dynasty Football Key. So again, blocked off some of this here, but you can see we've got Theo Johnson as the highest scoring tight end in this class. And you can see some of the other previous classes as well. In 2023, we had Luke Musgrave up there. Jelani Woods was up there. You might be able to guess who the other heads are down there. Here's some other positions. Running back, you can see the Jets in 2023 had the top scorer on the Phenom Finder, and in 2022 they also had the top scorer on the Phenom Finder in Breece Hall and Israel Bandicanda. Receiver, it is a deep class. This page is full of guys. I'm not going to show who they are. Maybe if you know the top part of the forehead of the top left player, you can guess who that is. And this is what the other page will look like. So there's about 30 plus rookies that we already have the numbers on before the draft. We already had this debuted this before the draft last night. And you can see Rashee Rice. He was 37 on here. Zay Flowers, he was on there. But, look at the 2022 class. You can even see how Treylon Burks was one of the lowest rated guys here of anyone I've shown so far. And, maybe it's not just helping you see who's a good upside player to take, but maybe someone who you want to avoid. Now, I always like to take things in context. Obviously, Treylon Burks is 225 pounds, one of the heaviest players at receiver, but this is showing, hey, maybe he won't be able to separate, so he's going to have to rely on those jump balls or something like that. One of those things where we want to be able to provide the data for you guys. So we've got all of this laid out in a very clean way, and you also will get access to not only this, but that Excel sheet that I was showing you, to where you can see the full list of not just this class, but previous classes. So we really hope this is helpful for you guys and is a way to help you win some more of your leagues. And again, really appreciate everyone coming out last night. Excited for the draft tonight and tomorrow. So let's see what happens, and hope to see you guys in the next video.